here we are once again, boys and girls. Back with another commentary, this time on Resident Evil Survivor. I cannot do that voice for this entire video. Something I should point out right away is that the title card art by Takeru Chimaru, there was actually a different design that she originally came up with. And it was like me being scared shitless because Mr. X was behind me. But then I had to point out that Mr. X really isn't that intimidating in this game. And then she came up with that, and I was like, that's dead on. And as for the way I'm dressed during this, that jacket is actually a jacket that I got for cosplay purposes. It's for, well, it was last used when Blonde Guy Gamer went as James Sunderland from Silent Hill 2. One of the times that we both went to the same convention. And his sister would have been sitting in my closet, and I was like, you know what? I don't have Ark's jacket, and this is the next best thing. And that reminds me of another thing. If you actually know what kind of jacket Ark has, you can figure out right away, from the moment you see him, that he's not Vincent. Now, I don't remember what the actual term for it is, but it's basically some sort of aviation jacket. The giveaway for it is like the fur lining on the hood. So, if you know that that is some form of like military dress, and then you see the dog tags with Ark Thompson on them, you've pretty much figured out right away, oh, he's Ark Thompson. And then the game starts telling you, oh, his name's Vincent, and you're like, no, it's Ark Thompson. And I didn't include that in the review because this was already going on way too long. I'm amazed at how long this video actually was, because when I finally finished writing the script, I finally looked down at the page counter and I was like, did I seriously talk for this long about this game? And that wasn't the only thing I cut. Let's see, I actually have my notes right here. Yes, I take notes, because that's pretty much the only way I can keep my thoughts organized. Let's see, what do I have here? Oh. Some other things gameplay-wise that I didn't mention was, sometimes there's really sketchy detection on when you hit a door. Or a way out of an area. Because there were times, you actually see it a little bit when I'm trying to go into the basement of the prison when I'm describing the alligators. But I'm walking into the stairs and it's not registering right away. That also happened in the area with the two lickers, which couldn't see me right away. And what else do I have? Oh, there was a bunch of stuff in the files that pissed me off. And again, I didn't go over it because this was already way too long. Things like, there was one file where they're going over the Raccoon City incident as the sort of town hall meeting, only it's with the heads on the island. And they ultimately decide that the Raccoon City incident was entirely the fault of William Birkin. And I'm just sitting there thinking, no, it was the fault of the dumbasses who let it get loose in the mansion, and then the Umbrella cleaning crew who basically stole his shit and murdered him, which resulted in him injecting himself with the G virus. That was the reason. Oh, and another thing that really pissed me off was, you'll notice, through some of the files, that one of the main plot points is these, basically teenagers, 18, 19 years old, are being kidnapped from, kidnapped from all over the world, so that, they can drill into their brains and find the specific hormone that they need in order to engineer the new kind of tyrant, Hypnos. And they mention in, this one prisoner's diary, which they apparently let the prisoners have, that there was this massive escape plan from their prisons, And as they were escaping, Vincent basically shot all of them. And there's this massive build-up to it in the files, where they're going over like, okay, here's what we're going to do, here's what you do, here's what you do, and then we're going to do it on this day. And as they're doing this, they casually mention that they were being taken out of the prison and to arcades and clubs. And I'm just thinking, so you ignored that opportunity, and instead waited until they took you back to the maximum security prison to try and escape. There are simply no words for this. Oh geez, it's only been 5 minutes. I still have 30 minutes to go, and I have nothing to talk about. Oh, there's another thing. There are continues in this game. I probably should have mentioned that. You have basically 3 or 4 continues, I think. I don't know because I only died once.
And very little exploration to be done outside of seeing what other Capcom games are being shamelessly promoted.
Yeah, and obviously the part where I died, the 2 alligators. And that's more so because what you're supposed to do is shoot the alligator in the head, and it'll eventually move over to one side and you can run past it. I chose the wrong direction to move, because I thought it moved out of the way, and then I tried running to the right of it. You actually see this happen in the video. But, yeah, I screwed that up and died. And they pretty much respawn you in the same area that you died. Except, like, any ammo that you used, you get it back. You have the same health that you did before. One other thing I didn't mention was, you basically have maps for everything. If you pause and go to the map screen, there are some times where, like, you'll have no idea what's ahead of you. But a lot of the times, this game will go ahead and show you the layout for the rooms that you haven't been in yet.
Am I finding the truth about Sheena Island, or am I going to the circus?
Now that I think about it, there weren't that many plants in this game. I think there were maybe anywhere from 4 to 6 plants in the entire game, and they're all in that factory section. And that was, what you just saw was one of the few times that the cleaners gave me trouble. In fact, that's pretty much the only time that the cleaners gave me trouble. And it was another one of those moments where you're getting hit repeatedly and you can't move, so there's almost nothing you can do about it. Oh, another thing I didn't mention. In certain areas, the zombies will respawn. Like in that theater area you just saw, if you go out one of the doors or up the staircase and come back down, those zombies will keep respawning. It happens again in the factory, and I can't remember where else it happens, but I could have sworn it happened somewhere else too. And because I don't like talking about graphics, I also didn't mention this, but you're noticing several points in this game where the frame rate just drops, and the game appears to go into slow motion. That's just basically the game overloading its graphics engine. But the walking backwards thing, this is basically what I did for most of the game. You actually don't need to back up that much. You can just take 1 or 2 steps back, and Lickers will miss you, Hunters will miss you, Hypnos will miss you. Oh, I was so mad. There was one time, the recording on this screwed up, but there was a time where I'm in the sewer, and I see this, there's like a straightaway, and then about 20 feet ahead of me, it bends to the right. And this hunter walks down this hall, turns, actually faces me, then keeps turning and goes back down the hall. I was so mad I didn't get that clip. Well, technically I did, but the recording on it glitched, and I couldn't use it, and I was like, oh, damn it. And I wish this would have come out clearer. For those of you who can't tell, it's basically the Cerberus, the Cerberi, however you say it, are just running back and forth. It really is a shooting gallery at this point.
The cleaners, special agents sent to wipe out anything alive or dead on the island, are the biggest pushovers, though. Despite having automatic weapons, their aim is
I really do not understand the point of the cleaners in this game.
A stationary target.
I mean, in Nemesis it was established that Umbrella did have cleaning crews. In fact, that was actually established further back in, like, 2. I can't remember if they mentioned them in 1 or not, but whatever. They have these cleaning crews. They've already established that, like, in 2 and 3, they were humans. Like, well-trained, combat-style humans. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. And yet in this one, they artificially engineer these guys that are significantly weaker than them and send them to the island. And I'll be honest, the first time you see Mr. X in this game, he usually does his Kool-Aid Man thing where he, like, busts through a wall and starts attacking you, and it's a little intimidating the first time. Then when you start to realize how you can kill him, not so much. And yes, I had to use this song. This is another one of those things where I've known about this song, but I simply didn't have a good place where I could use it. Until now. And actually, that reminds me, I wanted to do a video on this game for a long time. Like 2 or 3 years. I originally played this game around the time that Resident Evil 4 came out for the GameCube. Because I played the first one, I played the second one, I only rented the third one, I wasn't that big on it. And I kind of fell off the Resident Evil wagon a bit, and then 4 came out, and I was like, oh yeah, Resident Evil, what did I miss? And I started going back to certain games, and I found Survivor.
Check it out. I got poisoned and hit 9 times.
Yeah.
And after all that, I'm only in caution. Trying to do much of anything
Oh,
in this game is a bit of a chore.
This one part in the prison, it was... It's so simple, but I didn't think of it. Once you go up this ladder, there's basically like a 4 foot by 4 foot section that you stand in. And the only ways off of it are the ladder you just climbed up, and then in front of you there's this little bar. That's one of the only times I was confused about what to do. But in Resident Evil Survivor, you basically just walk into things and hope something happens. So I basically just did a circle in the area, and when I got to the bar, it says, you use the rope and, like, climb down. And that's how you get into the alleyway with Mr. X, who, by the way, is several hundred feet away from you, and therefore incredibly easy to kill.
Jump scares are fairly common in Survivor, except they're almost always out of the player's line of sight. I guess the idea was to get the player to panic.
Oh, this was one of the few times that I actually saw the jump scare.
Lock-on button. And 2, most of the attacks can be avoided by not standing still.
But yeah, unless you're walking everywhere, you're not going to see most of the jump scares, because you'll end up running past them as they happen, like you saw with the liquor in the sewer.
Not only because the analog stick moves a lot smoother than the D-pad.
One of the only other times I think I actually saw the jump scare was that section where the liquor can't get through the doorway. Before that, you're actually in that hallway, and you see the ceiling panels drop in front of you, and the liquor pops out. That's one of the few times I cannot explain this. Originally, I just said this normally, and then I just started doing takes with, like, the stuttering robot-style voice, and those takes actually wound up being better than the ones where I just said it normally. So I thought, you know what, why not? Oh, this is that was another space where the zombies would respawn every time you entered the room.
The nightclub from Silent Hill 2?
There's got to be an explanation for this. I don't know what it is, but there has to be a logical explanation for this, because I sincerely doubt Konami was referencing Survivor. And because I know it's coming up, I'm just going to go ahead and move on to it, but the 3 different villains in the game. One of them, obviously, is Andy Holland. And one thing I didn't show that I wanted to was this incredibly awkward random phone call that you get, regardless of what path you're on. It happens immediately after, well, not immediately after. After the clip where it says the phone hang up, you go through the section with the 2 lickers, and then a phone starts ringing. You pick that one up, and Andy is on the other end. And he just says, Vincent. How he knew that A, Vincent would be there, and B, Vincent would be there, I don't know. I'm just imagining him calling every payphone on Sheena Island and saying Vincent to whoever picks it up. How many people do you think he did that to? But anyway, Art picks it up and he goes, "Who is this? Vincent? Am I Vincent?" And that's when he first starts to think that he's Vincent. And of course Andy just says, "Vincent, you are a murderer! A murderer!" And then he hangs up. And dear God, how old is the demented cartoon movie? I can't believe I even remembered that. God.
In fact, the same can be said for both the Cleaner Commander and Andy. Andy only shows up anywhere from 2 to 3 times.
Oh, and another thing is, right after this section, Andy runs away through those double doors in the background. And then, when he locks them from the other side, and you have to go and get the key. And when you do get the key, there's a licker in the damn room. This is another one of those times where I'm just really confused as to how some of these characters got through certain spaces, especially when Lot and Lily ran right through the giant tiger spiders. And I know that Resident Evil fans are going to, harp on me for this, because technically there are a few games where the villain doesn't die at the end. Technically, in the first one, Wesker doesn't die. It just looks like he does. Oh, and this is basically one of the only clips I had of me using a gun other than the default one, and Handgun D. Because I actually looked up, charts indicating, how much... They had this sort of scale on, how much damage something could do. And according to the chart that I saw, the handgun, well, specifically Handgun D, is basically the next most powerful thing to a Magnum. I did not get that feeling when I used this gun, that it would be that powerful. In fact, that's pretty much one of the reasons I switched. It was powerful, but not that powerful. Not powerful enough that it warranted the slow firing speed and the incredibly small magazine size. And since some people might ask, no, there is no, explosive barrel that you can get into the mouth of the alligator like you did in 2. So basically, unless this is, your second playthrough or something, and you already have some of the more powerful weapons, because at this point you basically have your handguns and a shotgun. That's about it. Oh, and the difference between these two is that in the library, you're basically locked in a room with a hunter. Or 2, I can't remember. But in the sewer, you get alligators. Yeah, kind of different. And this is probably the reason that this video is so long, is that I just went on these rants about sections like this. But I couldn't help it, because if I didn't talk about it there, I was basically going to spend this entire commentary just bitching about these sections. Would that have made the video better overall? I don't know. I know some people who, specifically because of the length, will not watch a video. I never thought I would go over the half-hour mark with a video like this. But at the same time, if you're just going to write a video off because of the length of it, that's kind of naive. Kind of dumb. That's like not watching any of the Lord of the Rings movies because of their length. That's like not watching Schindler's List because of the length. That's like... Let's see, what else can I pull out? Oh, that's like not watching Blade because it's too short. And this is another one of those instances where there was other stuff I could have included here, but it was really nitpicky, and I thought that would have been too much. Like, there's this one section where there's another, like, 3 branching paths leading up to the mansion that gets you into the factory. And the mansion is basically just, like, one partially destroyed room that leads to a staircase going into the factory. But basically there's this name of one of the paths that's, when you look at it, there's a big-ass sign spelling it out, and then when you examine the sign, they say the name of it, and it's spelled wrong. I thought that was kind of nitpicky, so I went with the other stuff, like, they're shotgun shells, not bullets. Oh dear God, this video. I never did look up whether or not the voice of Vincent's mother was actually a woman. But it definitely sounds just like some guy doing a high-pitched voice. It's the kind of voice that you use when you're either pretending to be an old lady or pretending to be like a really aristocratic middle-aged woman. Like, oh, it's your mother! Kind of like that. Actually, not at all like that. I suck at doing that. Oh, and just to show you how dumb I can be sometimes, when I did that, like, it was like a facepalm, only I did it with my forearm. I actually bent my glasses when I did that. Because then I looked up back at the camera and I was like, why are my eyes not focusing? And this was a mistake in the scripting. I didn't actually write out, like, right now, that many times. I was looking back at the clips and I was like, why did I say right now so many times? Basically 4 sentences in a row end with the word now. That was a mistake. There's 3. Actually, I think that was 4. Whatever. Oh well, live and learn. I really wish that the spiders would have shown up better. Part of the problem is that, like, a lot of these environments are so dark that you can't make out most of what's going on. Unless it's like in a really bright area like this.
Lily, you hide here.
But basically for the spiders, I know that they're like the basic giant spiders in Resident Evil, but these were like 4 times bigger than that. Well, maybe 3. They were huge either way. They were like bigger than cars. And the only thing you could really see of them in the clips used in this video was basically some of their eyes. But they're set up so that you have to like weave around them. They're actually not that difficult to avoid. It's more so just like an intimidation thing at seeing them the first time than anything else.
Am I dead? Did it just get sick of killing people and want to go for a ride?
And another thing about this coming up was, I did want to reference Freakazoid, but this was originally not going to be the reference that I made.
But as soon as you get off the ropeway,
I wanted to reference the episode with like Arms Akimbo, where he's selling Oops insurance and random shit just starts breaking or exploding and he goes, Oops. But I hate forcing things into videos, so I really couldn't come up with a good way to do that. But instead I found that clip from the Cloud episode, and I was like, okay, that'll work for the ropeway station.
How did he get this far? He didn't see a single hunter or licker along the way.
And I didn't show this part, but when you run up to save Lot, the hunter is still there somehow, even though it tackled you over the edge and presumably fell. And you have to fend off the hunter standing in place holding onto Lot. And the thing is, the hunter will attack you while it's doing this, but somehow it never hits you. You'll see it do the stabbing motion with its arm, but somehow it won't hit you even though it's at point-blank range.
Hello, I'm Vincent. I've been transferred to this facility.
And again, this is one of those points where, if you figured that out earlier, you basically just spent like half an hour to an hour building up to this moment where you already knew what was going to happen. And amazingly enough, this only took 2 takes to do. I thought for sure I was going to like trip over my lines more than I actually did. And another shooting mistake that actually happened here. There's supposed to be like a cut where it actually goes to like a side view of me thinking, and then the train wreck image happens. But I forgot to shoot that, so instead I went with the crappy zoom brightness effect. And I realized that a lot of like my commentary videos turn out to be like me bitching about mistakes that I made, but I cannot help it. I'm incredibly anal, sort of a perfectionist when it comes to stuff like this. And that's my biggest flaw, but it's also my biggest driving force, because no matter how good a video I make may be, which I don't think I've made very many good videos, that's just how I think, but that also means that I'm never satisfied. I don't get complacent with what I do. And that's another reason that it takes me so long to get like videos out on a regular basis. It's not just real life stuff, it's also that I want to do this and I want to do it right. Of course, not having the time to be able to do it right is another factor, but... And something I've been doing to try and help organize what I'm doing like on a by-video basis is that... Oh, I moved away from the mic, sorry. Something I've been trying to do like on a by-video basis to help like organize everything is like I've come up with a list of videos in order that I want to do. And I'm gesturing with my hands and you can't see me doing the hand gestures, but why am I doing that? Anyway, the schedule basically goes Bloody Roar, $5 Gaming, Bloody War, Estheon, Bloody War, $5 Gaming, etc., 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 with a couple exceptions. And I'm hoping that that helps me, like, be more organized with what I do. Actually, there's another collaboration that I need to get working on. And it's not like one of these forum collaborations where you say you'll review something as part of a series, and then you post it, and it's basically just all stuff that you did by yourself. I mean like an actual collaboration with another reviewer that I need to get working on. He knows who he is and he knows what I'm talking about. Oh, something else I didn't mention was that I was rarely ever short on healing items. They give you plenty of herbs, and especially if you go through the hospital, you'll find herbs, you'll find like a first aid spray, maybe 2. So if you choose that path, you'll basically never be short on healing items up until like the ending. In fact, it was really at the final form of Hypnos that I really ran out of healing items. And that was the time where I was just running out of everything, though. I was out of all types of grenade ammo, I was out of magnum bullets, I was out of shotgun shells. I was basically just trying to kill him with a handgun. And just managed to do that. Yeah, I'm not spectacular at this game, but I was able to beat it, so whatever. Oh, and finding these clips was actually not that difficult. Most of these clips that I'm using are from one episode of... I know I am going to screw up this pronunciation. Eigo de Shabera Naito? It's all basically from one clip of one episode. And then the video at the end is just, if you type in Patrick Harlan on a buggy, you'll basically find him.
Yes! I'm not Vincent. I'm Ark!
We know.
Moving on. Eventually, Ark faces Tyrant stand-in.
That wasn't the original line. I remember looking at the script and thinking, okay, that's not going to work. I'm just going to improvise something. And then I did that. And this happened too fast for me to be able to show it properly, but literally the moment you walk out the door, there's the door opening and closing animation, and then Hypnos mutates. That's how fast it happens. And is it just me, or is it incredibly lucky of them that they not only... that the kid knows where another helicopter is? Also, how come we're fighting on an indoor helipad and yet the helicopter is in a different room? Granted, I don't know if there are hangars for helicopters. I would assume that you store them somehow, but I'm not really sure how you would fly out of there. Unless the roof retracts, but I can't look up to check that. Yeah, that time I got hit was actually when I ran out of ammo for the shotgun. And I was like spamming fire and I was like, why doesn't it work? Oh, I'm out of ammo. Yeah, that'll probably do it. And I realized that for the part coming up, you could probably make the argument that Hypnos being on the missile was weighing it down and causing it to not move as fast as it normally would. But at the same time, would it really slow it down that much? And also, this is a common question in Resident Evil, but how do things that are like the size of a normal person mutate and gain mass like that? I mean, like, when you think back to William Birkin in particular, or that one guy from Resident Evil 5, they mutate into these huge things that must weigh like a ton or two. And I know I'm arguing science versus science fiction, but still. Actually playing this for the purpose of the review made me go back and try out Zombies Revenge, which is like a Dreamcast game that's sort of like a third-person House of the Dead off-rails version. Sort of. I don't know if I'll do a video on that, though. I don't know, maybe. Like I said, I got a bunch of other stuff lined up, so it'll have to go to the back of the line if I do decide to do something. Oh, and that Game Informer article was bullshit. You know why? Because they listed Geist as a horror game. Not really. I mean, there are elements where you're supposed to, like, scare people in order to, possess their body, if I remember correctly, but it's not really a horror game. Oh, and Evil Dead and The Ring Terror's Realm, two games that weren't on that list. Oh, holy shit, I actually managed to talk for the entire video. But, hey, if you made it this far, then, my god, you basically spent an hour watching this. And that is dedication, I gotta say. And, I'm not sure really what else I could add. I mean, video's basically over. Thanks to Chris the Nerd for organizing the forum collab. And what he's trying to describe here is beer. I don't know anyone who does this when they drink, but that's apparently beer. Whatever.